Welcome back, Nick Lenz, Comic Corner, Classic/Non-Classic. This is episode number 1003 and Doubleshot number 897. I got two Batman-related trades. First up, it is the final trade that collects Birds of Prey, Volume 3. This is Soul Crisis. This contains issues 25, 27, 34 of the volume. This is basically in the volume and the Futures and Winter, which I've already covered already. Thanks to reviewing the Futures and on the best book. Written by Christine Marks, artwork by a couple different artists on here. Actually, several different artists. You have Travis Moore, Robinson Ruka, Daniel Semperi, and Romeo Molinar. Also some breakdowns done by Scott McDaniel. The cover art is done by Jorge Molina. This continues the stuff with Kurt Lance. Yeah, it kind of basically this whole storyline is trying to cure Kurt Lance of his, getting out of his coma, and apparently suffered from amnesia. They also have encountered the frickin' Suicide Squad. Yeah. Because of the connection they have with Kurt Lance, Black Canary, and Amanda Waller. This, of course, is the thin Waller, not the overweight one. Yep. And the stuff with Mother E. Ra's al Ghul appears in here because why not? I mean, he appeared in the first volume for the series, so why not appear in this volume? In case you're wondering, did Ra's appear in the most recent Birds of Prey book, back in Birds of Prey? No, he never did. Yep. And of course, we also have Black Canary acting completely out of character, who keeps secrets from her own team for no reason at all. Yeah. She cared more about basically being her husband's side, who she thinks is her husband, than actually, caring about her own team. Of course, it's revealed that the whole marriage between Black Canary and her husband was a fake. Yes, revealed by Waller, it was fake. Yes, the whole thing was a sham. Yep. And of course, Black Canary refused to believe because because her husband thought he actually loved her. Turns out it was a complete lie. Yep, a complete lie. And of course, while Black Canary and Batgirl argue, they argue a lot in these issues. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, 25 is just a zero issue, where it's just basically what Black Canary was up to 5 years of a present day, where she apparently ran a dojo, and then she gets recruited and gets burned down thanks to the 0 year stuff, and she recruited to Team 7. 27 is just the Godtopia tie-in. Actually, I think 28 does that. It's one issue of it ties into Godtopia. Yeah, I just put what the birds were up to during the whole thing. Doesn't really amount to much. But as for the whole stuff related to Kurt Lance, it's by far a really dumb thing. Yes. And the book ends with the group being disbanded. Yes. I give this book a 8 out of 10. Yes, I really didn't care for the constant arguing between Black Canary and Batgirl. Now, what happened to these characters after this book ended? First, let's talk about Contour, a character introduced in this very run. This character was never seen again after this because, as far as I know, this guy completely disappeared from DC Comics. What about Strix, the woman who actually Batgirl recruited the team? She got picked up by Gail Simone and put in the Secret Six book, where she stayed for pretty much the whole series, until the book ended about 3 years ago. The book early on suffered heavy delays. Okay, what about Batgirl and Black Canary? Well, their particular stuff can continue in the Batgirl series, where they actually reconciled. I'm like, that was a brief separation between the two of them. Apparently, they made up, and then basically Black Canary became a supporting character in Batgirl's title, and then she got her own spin-off title. And then, then that book ended after 12 issues. And then DC did something really weird with this character. They actually put her in 3 books as a starring character. They made her a supporting character in Green Arrow, something they probably should have done years prior. They revived the Birds of Prey title as Batgirl and Birds of Prey by the Bensons. Really good title. I'm not happy the book got canceled last year. And of course, she was featured as part of the Just Like America title. Yep. Featured in 3 titles. As a backer herself, well, she continued under the run that the first arc of heavy criticism because the over reliance on social media, like, oh my gosh, it was so over the top, it was completely unnecessary. And the fact that the character got a new costume, I didn't have a problem with the costume, but why did they replace this costume that appears on this cover, this book right here, with the costume she had in the book, which she had that costume even after that creative team left. Yeah, it took until the current creative team that when they replaced Hope Larson in the book to have her change damn costume. I love new costume. Do not like the fact she's wearing a very thin mask and bat ears. What's wrong with her wearing a cow? I don't know what's going with it. Yes, also, and I don't know if I think I did point this out though. For some reason, I'm not sure why this is. The coloring of Batgirl's costume is different than it does appear in the Batgirl title. Here it's basically black. In her title, it's more like a blackish purple. I'm not really sure exactly why it was colored this way for. It's particularly not exactly very jarring per se, but it's never really explained in the title. And also, I don't know why in the world that the original writer left the book and then had Christy Marks in the book. I mean, as soon as you came into the book, I mean, if you read the issues, like, after you get past the first few issues, which are actually not that bad, it's like, once they have the character still portray the team, like, just a few issues in, the book goes, like, downhill fast. It goes, like, on a sliding slope. For one thing, they couldn't go back to these operations because somehow Sterling knew about it. And they don't go after her. Nothing. It's almost kind of like Christy Mark just didn't care for the character, so removed the character, replaced it with a guy, Condor. I'm kind of like, now here's the thing. In the previous flying for the book, done by Gail Simone, they had Hawk and Dove part of the team. Now I'm talking about the male Hawk, the guy who was a creation of the late Steve Ditko, and Dove, a woman who was created by Rob Liefeld back in the 80s. Matter of fact, it was an early character he created for her. Yeah, he basically created this Dove, not the original Dove. That was Steve Ditko. Yes. As for why Condor had appeared here, I have no idea. Also, was revealed in this book, he has connections to the NSA. Yeah, that doesn't go much any place at all. Oh yeah, and also, the whole reasoning for that was because Black Canary wanted to send a message that she has Kurt Lance, and that's the reason why Suicide Squad went after them. Also, I think that the romance between her and Condor, like, if you read this, it feels very forced. Like, yes, it feels very forced. I'm not sure why Christy Marks wanted to put Black Canary in relation with this character, Condor. Heck, do you know how many here's the strange thing about this character. Do you know how many times she was masked the whole time period in this book? Once. Yeah, but this mask barely covers his face. It covers like a little bit here, and it shows off like a lot of his face. I mean, that's not a mask. That's just a simple helmet that covers up part of his face. Yes. The mask is terrible. I'm not sure why it was designed that way, so it can show up as like you could do like a cow style helmet, where you could just basically cover like the top of his face like this and show up like part of it. But no, you see his whole frickin' face. There is no explained reason for this at all, and also the fact that why in the world Christy Mark just apparently just hated this book so badly. The fact that she really wanted to end this title because she just felt like it. Because you have Black Canary acting completely out of character, believing that this guy, Kurt Lance. By the way, in pre-Flashpoint, I should point out though, Kurt Lance. Now, this Black Canary is not the Black Canary who dated Green Arrow from the 70s up until Flashpoint. This is her mother, Diana Drake, not Diana Laura Lance. That's a completely different character. That character is not here. No, this is a different character. Diana Drake is the Golden Age Black Canary. I'm not sure why they decided to bring this version, even though her daughter has been defending Black Canary since 1970s. Yes, of course, this character died in the 80s in the final issue of Secret Origins. Yes, she died in the final issue of that series. I've read it. It's a really good issue. Yes, unknown why. Now, in the case of her costume, now I know some people didn't like the fact they got rid of oh yeah, she got rid of fishnet stockings. She clearly has it, though it's basically part of her costume. Yes, they kind of got rid of that too with Zatanna, but at least they kind of she still has the pre-flashpoint look, but it's her basically look when she's on stage, not when she goes by crime. Yes, also I'm not really sure why Christy Marks have a good idea to follow something Adam Glass came up with in the Suicide Squad title. Yes, I've never met Christy Marks at all, but this is not her best work at all. I liked her Sword and Sorcery book when she had Amethyst. That was a damn good book. This was not very good at all. It had good artwork, but my gosh, it was like total, like, really went completely downhill. Like, the only really good issues that she did, one good issue she did was a Black Canary one. The Birds of Prey one, that was basically a cross between that and the Backer one. Now, this is a good series, but you probably do have to read the whole thing and understand what the heck is with these characters. Now, Batgirl is the only one who's actually active right now because Black Canary is doing nothing. Yes, because they ended the title early this year for Green Arrow. Well, because last year they ended Batgirl and Birds of Prey, and they had Just Like America last year. So that left Black Canary appearing in like one title, a title she barely appeared in once Ben Purr said the book like, yes, I'm not sure why he left. It's particularly very bizarre. He just abruptly left, and Black Canary is barely featured. I think she's featured in the remaining like 12 issues of the series. She's featured in like 2 issues. Yeah, she appears toward the very end. I think she did appear when the Benches wrote the book, but once they left, it's almost kind of like DC don't know what to do with Green Arrow anymore. Yeah. Moving on to something a lot better than Birds of Prey, well, the Birds of Prey New 52 book, we have Batman Troika. Yes. This contains a storyline released from the mid-1990s. Yes, released, I think, let me look it up here. This was released from 1984 to 1995. This book contains Batman number 515, Batman Shadow of Bat number 35, Detective Comics 682, Robin Volume 4, Issue 14, Nightwing Albus Victoria number 1, and Batman Vengeance of Bane number 2, Vengeance Bane 2. Yes. Now, the thing with the storyline is this. The fact that prior to this trade coming out, let's see, I think it was not that long ago this trade came out, was it? This came out this came out last year. Okay. Prior to this trade coming out, this storyline had never been collected in trade. Never has. Not even those big omnibus books for Nightfall. They actually skipped over this very storyline. Now, as for why they did it, I have no idea why in the world this is. Because it's particularly very bizarre. Yes, the thing about this storyline is this. It's a debut of a new Bat costume. This is the Troika costume. Those of you probably thinking, man, this costume looks very familiar. It looks like the costume from the Tim Burton Batman movies. Yeah, it is. I spoke to Chuck Dixon about this. In case you're wondering, who designed this costume? Yes, who designed this thing? The late Jim Aparo. Yes, the same guy who co-created the Outsiders with Mike W. Bird back in the 80s. Yeah, same guy. The whole point of this story is like there's a virus being released in Gotham City, one of many times released in Gotham City, and of course was released by the Russians of all people. And get this, the main villain of the storyline is not frickin' Bane. He doesn't show up in the storyline at all. The main villain, believe it or not, is KG Beast. Yes, KG Beast. Which has led into the Vengeance of Bane 2 one-shot. Excuse me, yes. Yeah, Batman beats him. Now this is basically Batman back in the cowl, and his first story back as this character. Well, back in the mantle. And that's simply put what the storyline is. It's his first case back as Batman. Though I think next cross that came out this was, I think it was Cataclysm. Yes, not Cataclysm. It was Contagion. Yes, Contagion's next major storyline that comes right after this. I think it came like the following year. Yes, I believe that's basically that's the next major storyline when it comes to this. Now, the Vengeance of Bane one shot, Vengeance of Bane 2 one shot. This basically one shot is simply put what happened with Bane after he was beaten by Nightfall. Not Nightfall, by Azrael. He was put in prison, put in Blackgate. And then we have a fight between him and KG Beast, a character who technically was Bane back in the 80s. Yeah, he's a big, bulky guy. The whole purpose of him was basically for a threat to Batman fight. Big, huge guy. And of course, Bane and KG Beast fought. Yes, this is the first and by far only time these two have ever fought at all. The whole time. And as far as I know, these two never fought again. After this, eventually Bane breaks out of prison, leaving KG Beast in prison. Also, for some reason, I'm not sure why this is. Apparently, KG Beast, I don't know if this is him or somebody else. Apparently, this other character who they call Bane, even though it's not Bane at all, where it looks like he's overweight. I'm like, Bane is not overweight. He's a big, bulky guy. He's not overweight. I'm not sure why the artist was like this. Yeah, he breaks out of prison, and basically that's it up for the storyline Legacy. That's all just of that. Yes, as for Nightwing Alpha's return, this is actually the only thing that was actually collected prior to this trade being put out. This particular one shot was collected in, believe it or not, it was the first trade that collected the Nightwing ongoing series. Yes, this was collected with the Nightwing mini series published before the ongoing by Chuck Dixon. The whole point of this one shot, it's basically a follow-up what happened to Alfred after Nightfall. Because Batman had a death wish, he basically resigned. Because he had disagreed with him, so he resigned. So Nightwing went to the UK and helped Alfred save the UK from being financially ruined. And he came home. He also reunited with no love of his, which that was quite nice. Also, this weird flashback where apparently that she apparently had a secret with this guy, maybe an affair. So yeah, this wedding is a sham. Yeah, the guy comes in just before they proclaim man and wife, husband and wife. Yeah, I have no idea why in the world they think that's a good idea. Now, the thing I should also point out about Troika, it was one of two storylines for years that was never put into trade. Unknown why. I haven't spoken to. This is one thing I did not speak to Chuck Dixon about, of why this storyline, along with The Search, was never put into trade. Because if you look at any of the two series of trades that Nightfall had prior to this series of trades coming out, if you notice, The Search is not in any of the two trades. It's not in the original trades released back in the late 80s, or even the 2012 omnibus books. Yes, for some reason they skipped over those. Yeah, I have no idea why. Because here's kind of the strange thing. Now, Prelude to Nightfall also features. This is actually the third book. Now, yes, the storyline itself, Troika, is only a 4-part storyline. And I kept thinking, though, why wasn't this storyline ever collected in trade? It's part of the Nightfall story. It simply put the epilogue to it. It's just one last thing for the of Nightfall before Batman goes back to what he was doing before, beating up bad guys. Yeah. But this storyline is actually really good. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. And no, I'm not getting my final thoughts on this crossover because it's still about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, only about 6 more trades. Yeah, the rest of the stuff, with the exception of The Search, has been collected for twice. Yeah. But it's interesting, though, that the final story collected in this is the Vengeance of Bane one-shot, Vengeance of Bane 2 one-shot, because Prelude Nightfall started with that particular one-shot, and here we have this be the ending. It's also by far the only one-shot I can think of that actually had a sequel. Yeah, it's the only one ever did this. Now, in case you want to know who wrote these issues, now, Chuck Dixon wrote a majority of these issues. Yeah, he wrote pretty much everything in here except for the Batman issue, and he also didn't write the Shadow Bat issue. Yeah, 2 out of 4 issues in here are not written by Chuck Dixon. Alan Grant does the Shadow Bat issue. The Batman issue is done by Doug Moak. But pretty much everything else in here is done by Chuck Dixon. These are the artists of these issues. These are Kelly Jones, Graham Nolan, Tom Grimmett, the late Giordano and Barry Kitson. Yep. This cover here is done by Glenn Fibre, who, believe it or not, yeah, this guy did the cover for the first Vince McMahon one shot, and he actually did it for this one as well. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? He does the first Vince McMahon one shot, and he does the second one. Yeah, this is the same. This is the same artist as both covers. I gotta hand to DC. That was a smart move on their part because he did the first one, sold really well. You're probably thinking, okay, we're gonna do a follow-up to Vengeance of Bane. Bring it back to the cover because the guy is one damn good artist. And in case you're wondering who does the cover for Shadow, it's Brian Starfleet. Met the guy, fantastic artist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, not much to say about these two trades, but yeah. So that's it for this particular review. Now, my next time I'm going to do is going to be a Justice League trade and a Turtles trade. You'll find one there soon. Now, tomorrow I have roughly maybe about 2 videos recording tomorrow. One, of course, will be News Chapter 7 Deadly Sins. The other one, hopefully, review of the actual film 7 Deadly Sins have, if I get a chance to get up to it. If not, I'll probably save for Thursday, okay? But here's the next few. Bye.